with Miss Pearlie Craft Dove to please come forward. As they come forward, we had a reception. We had a reception prior to coming into the meeting today, Mr. President, where we were joined by roughly about 100 people that came out to celebrate Dr. Dove. Most notable amongst them is her daughter, Carol Dove, her grandson, Ben Horn, her cousin, Barbara Mitchell Moss, and her cousin represents many of Dr. Dove's relatives, and the Dwyers, the Jones, the Lesters, and of course the Dove family. There were members, Ms. Winslow and Ms. Bottoms from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated represented, Carol Carter, the current president, Victoria Jenkins, the past president, and Camille Ziegler, also the past president. And members of the Clark Atlanta University family, Dr. Isabella Jenkins and Dr. Sean Warner, the Dean of Education from Clark Atlanta University, is here. And of course, a lady that needs no introduction, an honoree, former city employee, and a lady we honored just last year, Dr. Gaines, is also here today in a sharp blue hat, wherever Dr. Gaines is, if you get a good look. Oh, she's right behind me. Okay. How you doing, Doctor? Okay. Yeah, you just come on around, and you can, the crowd, you just come on around the other side, and those who are still down on the bottom, you can come up on the other side of the floor on the other way. I'd like to ask the director if he can give us Mr. DeMille, if you can give us our close-up, because we're going to burn a DVD for Dr. Dove. We'd like to have a close-up of it, please. Anybody up there at the cameras?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, they can come on around if they heard. We're waiting on the director to go. There's our shot. All right. So, officially begin. Okay. Well, I think we've sufficiently packed this place. But it'll take a great lady like Dr. Dove to do so. If everybody could just kind of hold where they are, I'm going to begin reading our proclamation. We have a proclamation in honor of Dr. Pearlie Craft Dove. Whereas Pearlie Craft Dove entered Clark College after graduating from Booker T. Washington High School in 1937. While a student at Clark, she sang with the Philharmonic Society, served as editor of the Monitor, president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and vice president of the senior class. After earning an A.B. degree, cum laude, in 1941, she continued her studies with the assistance of a scholarship from Atlanta University, now known as Clark Atlanta University, where she earned the M.A. degree in 1943 and later the E.D. degree from the University of Colorado Boulder in 1959. Whereas accepting her first position with the Phyllis Wheatley branch of the YWCA, she began a lifelong commitment to education of African Americans. She subsequently resigned from the position to unite in matrimony with the late chaplain Jackson Benjamin Dove. They moved to Paducah, Kentucky, and later to Memphis, Tennessee, upon return to Atlanta in 1949 with her daughter, Carol Ann. She was employed by Clark College in the Department of Education for 36 years. She retired in 1986 as a distinguished professor of higher education and was appointed professor emeritus of Clark Atlanta University in 1993. And whereas, in addition to her dedication to excellence in teacher education, she was an incisive leader and a formidable community advocate, and the degree of her service is punctuated by the numerous honors, citations, and awards that she has received through the years, a few of which do follow. The Chairman's Award, the State Committee on Life and History of Black Georgians, Distinguished member of the National Association of Teacher Educators, Board of Directors, American Association of the College for Teachers Education, Torch Award of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Lay Fellowship Service Award of Big Bethel AME Church, Distinguished Alumni Award of NAFEO, and Local Community Service Award from Spelman College. Whereas Dr. Dove was chosen by the trustees as Associate Director of Consolidation Steering Committee of the Atlanta University and Clark College to compile the report for consolidation of the two institutions into what we now know as Clark Atlanta University. Moreover, under President Jimmy Carter's leadership, she served as the cluster coordinator for Booker T. Washington High School for the Atlanta Project, and his wife chose her as the Rosalind Carter Honorary Fellow of the Emory's Institute for Women's Studies in 1993 to 1995. And whereas the validation of her commitment to African American concerns in education was successfully written by Dr. David Imig, retired Executive Director of AACTE, for her retirement memory book, and he wrote, "Yours is a service to this association as a member of the Board of Directors and a member of the Commission on Multicultural Education, helped craft one of the most far-reaching, important statements on multicultural education, no one model American in 1972 that has ever been developed. Also, you were an articulate spokeswoman for black concerns and an exceptional advocate for equality in teacher education wherever it took place," end quote. Whereas she basks in her retirement years, she devotes more quality time to her family and friends, patronizing the arts and promoting historic preservation. In a biographical sketch for the 1941 Clark College Golden Anniversary Yearbook, she cited some principles, and with God's grace, that continue to guide her on her journey. They are the following, quoting Dr. Dove: "I make decisions based on decency rather than expediency. I strive for excellence rather than mediocrity. I believe actions should mirror words, and I prefer substance to superficiality." Now, therefore, we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of the City of Atlanta, hereby proclaim this day, June the 17th, 2013, as Dr. Pearlie Craft Dove Day in our fair city. In witness whereof, I call again, put the seal in your hand in place. Congratulations, Dr. Dove. Say something else. Would you like someone to speak before you speak last? You want to speak last? Dr. Dove would like to speak last. So if there are remarks from members of the council or members of the podium, Councilmember Young.
I'll defer to the dean.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Martin. Because Councilmember Martin has a special award for you also, Dr. Dove.
Dr. Dove, I have this award for you on behalf of the many, many students of the citywide tutorial program that you taught. You remember?
Yes, I do.
Yes. It was a mixture of the Black Panthers Saturday morning program. It was a mixture of a school that was virtually given to us, Archie, for those students to work with the young people to help improve them. And it was your unique way of getting young people who may have had just one mission, that is to graduate, not just from CAU. You remember Sandra Swan, who helped to mobilize Dr. Ginger Davis, who is now a physician, and others of that group of over 120 students. That was definitely an instrumental program for many of the young people in the projects in Perry Homes, because Dr. Richardson gave us, with your support and help, that whole Archer School on Thursdays and on Saturday mornings. You will be forever remembered by some of the young people, not just the students, but some of the young people. You have always been outstanding. So I'm going to give you this special recognition on behalf of those young people who you really impact their life so much. it is to Dr. Pearlie Dove in recognition of your dedication and contribution to the city of Atlanta and its citizens over the years. You have influenced, inspired, challenged, and shown reckless civic involvement. That's relentless civic involvement. And we would talk about the recklessness in terms of the petitions that you have gotten on up and down Lowry Boulevard and in that whole Mason Turner area. For going above and beyond the call of duty and responding to and providing service to the citizens of Atlanta, we commend you, Councilman C.T. Martin, June 17, 2013. Love you and appreciate you.
Dr. Dove, Michael Bond and I have had the distinction of serving as your District 3 council member.
In the audience to accommodate the droves of folks that are up here to celebrate you, Dr. Dove. And Dr. Dove, come my way. Come this way. Because I can't make it to you. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Please,
I just want to.
in office.
Oh no! I just want to say this. Somewhere in that proclamation, it says something about retirement, but I don't know how you got that error in that proclamation, Mr. Bond, because she is not retired. In fact, she was just in my office a couple of weeks ago and really giving me the business about an issue that's really important on the community level. And I think, as has been said already, by council members and others, your work has never ended. And your ferocious, relentless fight for your community and for the principles that you believe are right has never ended, and it continues to this day. I did not know that you were a lady of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and as a man of Omega, I'm super proud to be here. And so I just wanted to say to you, thank you for all the work that you do. And I think a part of the proclamation that struck me the most was the portion that read that you believe in decency above expediency. And it's only when we are willing and able and understand how important it is to be decent to one another that we can throw out this idea of running fast and running over people. And I think you have been a staunch soldier for the idea that we can treat people right, make progress, and make our city better. So I want to give to you what I've only given away twice before, and that is the President's Key of Service. And it really is it shows essentially that it has on it inscribed basically the boundaries of our city, and it's in the form of a key. And it really shows, again, how you have had an impact upon our city, an impact upon our people, and you will never be forgotten and forever treasured. So, thank you so much. And you, in fact, Michael, she can have this dais right here to speak. I don't want, unless you want her there.
Good afternoon. My name is Camille Smith-Ziegler, and I am the immediate past president of the Atlanta Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. The incoming president, who is now the president as of July the 1st, is Carol Carter. And earlier we had one of our other past presidents, Sarah Victoria Jenkins. And what I said is I'm speaking not necessarily on behalf of the Atlanta Alumni Chapter, but on behalf of the Metro Atlanta President's Council, and that is 9 Atlanta Alumni Chapters, as well as the National President of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, that's Sarah Cynthia Marie Antoinette Butler McIntyre. On April the 27th, when Delta Sigma Theta's torch came into the city of Atlanta, where thousands and thousands of citizens were able to witness the lighting of our torch, where we are taking to Washington, D.C., July the 11th through the 18th, 2013, where we will celebrate 100 years. But on behalf, as I said, of our national president, I am indeed honored to let you know today that this woman, who is truly a woman of substance, a woman of excellence, has been a member of the greatest sorority in the world, that's Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, and she is the oldest but the youngest Delta in the city of Atlanta, where she has been a Delta for 75 years. She was honored and she took pictures with our national president, and on July the 17th, she will again be honored at National for being one of the oldest living and most vibrant Deltas in the United States of America, as we celebrate 100 years of sisterhood, scholarship, and service. We are so very proud of you, and we thank you for us being able to stand on your shoulders, because as I have said repeatedly, we could be nothing without someone like a Pearlie Dove. And whatever I did during my tenure as president, it is because of the guidance and the wisdom that I received from my soror, Pearlie Dove. We thank you so very much.
On behalf of the Atlanta Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the first chapter of Delta Incorporated in the Atlanta area, the first in Georgia, and the second in the southern region. Much of the success, much of the sisterhood that we continue today is based on the decency rather than expediency that Soror Dove has actually taught us as we came along the way. And we want to thank her and say congratulations to her, and we congratulate the city of Atlanta for honoring such a staunch supporter of human rights and decency.
My soror, Pearlie Dove. She is so honored today to have 3 of Atlanta alumni presidents come out this afternoon, because Pearlie has exemplified all of the characteristics of a good Delta. She has worked in the 5-point program, and she represents the 9 cardinal principles. So Soror Dove, along with the city of Atlanta, we love you.
All right, my name is Carol Ann Dove, and I am Dr. Dove, Pearlie Dove's daughter. I drive Miss Daisy. I type for Miss Daisy. I edit for Miss Daisy, and I arrange my life around Miss Daisy's schedule. And I just wanted to let you know 2 things. One time I was looking for my mother. It was 12 midnight, and she was down here somewhere in City Hall, and I was about to have a fit. The other day, her day started at 12:15 doing civic duties. I was waiting, had to go home and wait, came back to get her. She had another community meeting to go to. I waited. We had a social event to go to, and that started, I believe, at 6 o'clock. She came home at 7:30, and I said, I can rest. She said, no, I'm going. And I said, you are going to fall out, and I'm going to leave you with this. My mother will fall out working for her neighborhood and her city. She told me, I am going to be like someone I heard who fell out in the back of the church attending a meeting. I would rather go on my feet than go lying down. So I give her to you, and I will help her to keep going.
Well, without further ado, we are going to hear from the woman of the day, Dr. Dove.
I'm going to surprise myself and be very brief. So that's why I had a few notes. Because after you've lived 90 years, you know where all the dead bodies are. You know where everything is. I won't share all of that with you today. But I'll say good afternoon. Thanks be to God and my grandfather's prayers. I'm just blessed to be here today. First, I must express my appreciation to Councilman Bond and members of the City Council for the proclamation I received. My joy and happiness are tended with a deep sense of humility. I would also like to thank my family, friends, and associates of organizations in which I hold membership for coming out to celebrate this signal honor with me. Now, my remarks, brief, are centered around the work I do so passionately am involved in for the city of Atlanta and the Washington Park community specifically. The dire ancestral legacy by precept and example established a number of guidelines for living the good life. 3 are lifted up. Always put God first. Love family and respect others. And to whom much is given, much is required. The last one, to whom much is given, much is required, is the primary reason for my work in the Washington Park neighborhood. I had a wonderful life being reared in Washington Park community. 21st century leaders would refer to it as a choice neighborhood. Founded between 1919 and 1924 by a man of color and his associates, Heman Pearlie. It was the first black planned neighborhood in the city, with all of the amenities, including a park that you call green space, for quality living, moving forward on a fast track. However, by the end of the 20th century, in the name of progress, the neighborhood lost its prominence because of urban renewal, construction of MARTA, extension of I-20, and desegregation. Just before my mother passed, she suggested that I use my energy and know-how to see if I could prevent further deterioration of the neighborhood because of the benefits it provided me, which led to my success in life. My reply, what could I do? Because of the apparent apathy among some of its residents and present leaders. However, I do strongly believe in divine intervention. One day, after my mother's demise, as I was reading a yearbook, Spelman College's Jubilee celebration, and came across a statement by Alice Walker, which caused me to implement my mother's resolve. Listen to the essence of what Mrs. Walker penned. A people do not throw away their geniuses and their works, and we are a people. She goes on to cite, and if they do, it is our duty as witnesses for the future to collect and restore their works, if necessary, bone by bone. Thus, the journey to restore and preserve my beloved Washington Park community, street by street, house by house, vote by vote. The journey, to say at least, has been vexing at times, but with prayer, perseverance, and commitment, I keep on working. Having received this proclamation, I will always look at it as one of the ways to motivate me to keep going on the journey, to make certain that legendary figures like Heman Pearlie and Associates will always be remembered for the significant role they played in Atlanta's growth and development, as well as the seeds they planted, which make it possible for present leaders like many of you to hold such lofty offices. And what of my future? I feel the elation of a 9-year-old African lad when he received the good news that a miracle drug had been discovered to cure his AIDS. In replying to a PBS correspondent's question, what are you looking forward to in the future? His reply, one should do all you can in the time you've given, with what you have, in the place where you are. This too is my commitment. Thank you again, and God bless.
Thank you, and God bless you, Dr. Dove. You are still teaching us today. Here endeth the lesson. If we don't hear anything else from anybody else, we can take your words and know what our mission and purpose ought to be in the continuance of our service. And I want to personally say, even though I present the proclamation, I want to personally say thank you. Because when I was 27 years old and elected to District 3 in 1993, I came and got one of the best cussing outs I've ever received over in the Olive Street Y. But I know that if you don't discipline your children, you don't love them. But I realized that I was loved, and I watched the love and care of your actions. You are absolutely correct and right to say your actions form the words. And so it's from your actions and examples that we'll all live. And having said that, we will do now what the City Council used to do best, but we'll do better now after hearing from you, is take a picture. So if we can get Dr. Dove here, you come around, and then we'll all gather in.
CT. Around.
And remember, if you cannot see the camera, you are not in the shot.
Between the two
You need to stand. No, really, you can't. You're not in the shot, so you need to make sure that
Where do
you
you want
can
me to
actually see the camera.
Before we do the photo, if there are folks who are flanked on either the left and the right, if you want to come down into the well, just to make sure that everyone is in the photo.